Hello and welcome to this channel. This is the Techish, and in this video we are going to be solving the 2021 Elective ICT Practical question number 2, which is a Microsoft Spreadsheet or Microsoft Excel question. So before we actually get started, I'd appreciate if you guys could give this video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and the bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. So without any further delays, let's get started with this tutorial. Alright, so we are back once again, and here is the question. So let's get started. 2A, it says using a spreadsheet application, which is going to be Microsoft Excel, create a workbook with the following data as formatted below. So now let's open up our spreadsheet application. And then we click on blank workbook, and that is it. So this is what we are going to be using to create the table here. So let's see, can I format? I don't know if I can do that. Let me see. Okay, but then let's leave it like this. So this is what we are going. This is how we are going to do it. So the question is on the right, on the left, and then our applications on the right. So we can see both things at the same time. So next, let's create the table. So the first thing we see is what WASSCE results. So let's type that in, and then under we see some field names. So the first one is what index number, and then the next one is what name, followed by subjects. Under subjects we have English, maths, and then ICT. And then we move on to what total score. Finally, we have student average. So this is it. Now, before we continue with the data itself below, let's format the table so that we can be able to see everything clearly. So the first thing, we see that in WASSCE result, it takes a lot of space. Basically, the WASSCE result takes the whole table width or length. How do we do the same thing or replicate it? So what you want to do is you want to select from cell A1 and to the length or the width of the table. So the width is going to be from cell A1 to G1 like this. Why is it to G1? Because in the G column, that is where our last data are entered. So you can see that student average is in the G column. So it's in cell G2. So that is going to be the total width of our table. So you're going to select from cell A1 and click and hold and drag to cell G1. So that is going to be it. Then you make sure you're in the home tab, come to the alignment section, and then you're going to have to merge the tiles. Sorry, you're going to have to merge these cells, not tiles. So you're going to locate this option over here, which is merge and center. You click on the arrow to see the drop down menu and click on merge cells. That is how you do it. Now we can see that it is in bold. So in order to bolden it, we either click on Ctrl+B or we click on the bold icon here, and it's going to bolden our text like that. Now underneath the WASSCE results, we see that some of them are taking more than one cell. So how do we know that? When we come to the subject in English, we see that subject is taking its own cell, and under it are the subject itself, English, math, and ICT, and they're also taking cells under it. But for the index number, we see that it's taking more than one cell. So how do we do the same thing? To do that, you're going to select on cell A2, which is where the index number is. Then you're going to click and hold and drag down to cell A3. So this is going to be 2 cells. Now we are going to merge them. So how do we merge them? You do it like we did with the WASSCE result. We go back to the merge and center option, but we are going to click on merge cell, and now it's going to merge it. So in order to align this properly, because when we look at the question, we see that it is aligned to the top. So you are going to make sure you've selected that cell. Then you come to the alignment section again and look for top align and click on that. So this is top align. So you can see that when you clicked it and aligned it to the top, then make sure you also bolden it like that. We do the same thing for name. So we're going to merge cell, align to the top, and bolden it. Now for the subject, we see that it's taking 2 cells to the right, in total 3 cells. So we're going to select subject, which is on cell C2, and then we're going to drag to the right 2 cells like that. Then we're going to click on merge cell, and also don't forget to bolden it. We are going to do the same for the subject underneath. For those ones, they are okay the way they are. We just need to bolding them like so. For the total score, same thing. Merge cells, top align. But we see that it is not displaying in. So we are seeing total, but we are seeing score, SCOR. Where is the E? So in order to see all the text, what you do is you go to the top. So you see where the F is. In between F and G, there's a thin line there. When you hover your mouse pointer over it, you're going to see that the icon changes. When it changes, double click it, and it's going to create enough space. It's going to increase the width just enough so that we can see the whole text like that. So next thing is we have to bolden it. But for the student average, it's a different case. Even though we could do the same thing to see it in its entire form, in a question we can see that the student is on top and then the average is below. And we need to follow the same formatting. So in order to do that, first let's merge the cells. And then we're going to top align it. Now, the next thing is we are going to wrap text. We are going to text wrap it, or wrap text. Yes, you're going to wrap text. So basically, wrap text, what it does is it takes strings or text that is extra long, and then it breaks it down to multiple lines. So this is the option, wrap text. Now when you do that, you see that student first it was let's go back again. So the first we are seeing that it's a student A. We don't know the text that comes after A. So someone who didn't know what we are doing, he wouldn't know what is there unless he double clicks to check that it's a student average. But now when we wrap text it brings it down, it breaks it. Now we can see what student average, and then we bolden it. So that is it. That is it. So now that we've done the formatting, let's go with the data for each and every one of the text field. So for the index number, we start with the first one, which is 10001, and then 10002. Now in Microsoft Excel, there is something called autofill. Autofill basically what it does is it takes some pre-existing data, and then it's going to automatically complete the rest for you. So in this case, we need to type in 10001 all the way to 10006. This is not much, but imagine the students were 1,000. It means that is a lot of work. 10001, I don't know, a lot. So in cases like that, autofill is very, very convenient, where you type in about 2 to 3 options. Then you select those 2 to 3 options. You should see a small green box at the bottom right corner. Hover your mouse pointer over it. It's going to change. When it changes, you're going to click left click. Then you drag and hold down to the desired cell that you want it to be. So in this case, we want it to be all the way to 10006. So when we look at it, we are seeing it 10006. Then we release. And you can see we didn't have to type it. We let the application automatically compute the rest for us, which is very convenient. So I want you to keep that in mind. The next thing is what the names. So that one we have to type it ourselves. We cannot use autofill or anything like that. So let's just type it as quick as possible. Also, we can see that the name, it is not having enough space to display. So after we've typed everything, we are going to fix that issue. So no need to worry about that. Now the final name. Okay, so once again to fix it, we are going to go in between B and C, and the thin line, we are going to double click it. So you see that when we do that, it created just enough space to display all the names over here, which is really nice. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to type in the scores for each and every one of the subjects. So for English, we start with 50. Then we type in that. And then we move on towards math. So make sure that you type everything like shown in the question, or else you might have errors with your calculation, when you're calculating the total score and then the student average. So that is something to keep in mind. Alright, so this is the final one. And now the next thing we want to do is we can see what subject total score. So we also have to do that. And you can see that subject total score takes 2 cells for its own self. It's probably really greedy, eh? So that is on cell A10. We're going to type in the subject total score, and then in order to give it a 2 space, we need to merge it like we did for the previous. We are going to select these 2 cells like that. Then we are going to select merge cell. That is it. But there's one thing left. We need to give our table borders. You see that we've been able to format everything like in the question, but our table has borders, the deep black borders. So how do we do that? We need to select the whole table. So from here, and we drag all the way to this point. So this is the whole table. And then what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that you're in the home tab. Then in the front section, you're gonna see this, which is to create the borders. So you're going to click on the arrow to see the drop down menu and locate all borders. Then click it. And as you can see, our table has been given borders. The format is looking the exact same like in the question. So we are really done with 2A. Let's move on to 2B. So it says what? In 2B, use a function / formula to determine the total score for each candidate. Average score for each candidate. Total score for the subject. So let's focus on total score for each candidate. So this is going to be the total score for each candidate. Pretty simple. So how do we do that? So we are going to be using a function because that is the easier way to go. So which function are we going to be using? We are going to be using the sum function. The sum function is going to add the total score for each candidate. That is why we are using it. So how do we use it? So you make sure that you are on cell F4. Make sure that you selected it. Then you type in an equal to sign. The next thing you type in is the sum function, which is SUM, and then an opening bracket. After that, you're going to select all the scores for each candidate. So for the first candidate, these are the scores the person got. So you select them like this. And then you hit on enter. So what this does is it's going to automatically compute the total score for that this candidate got. Now you have to do the same for the other candidates. But the lucky thing is that we can use autofill. So we don't need to type the same thing. So you make sure you select the first one, which you've already done. At the bottom right, you hover your mouse pointer at it, you click hold and drag all the way down to the last candidate, and then you release. And what does this do? It's going to automatically compute the total score for each and every one of these candidates. So when we select this option and we double click, you can see that it has computed the total score for him. The same for this guy and this one. So you see that's the magic with autofill. It's very convenient. Now the next thing is what? The average score for each candidate. So we are going to use the same procedure here, but in this case, we are going to use a different function. We are not going to be using sum. So we come to G4, and then the same process, an equal to sign. And in this case, we are going to be using average, and then an opening bracket. We are going to select the scores for each subject like we did before, and then you hit on enter. Once again, you select it, and then you use autofill to compute for the other candidate. And that is it. Pretty simple and fast. Next is what? Total score for each subject. So this is where we are going to be doing it, the total score for each subject. So for English, you're going to have to compute the total score. And to do that, we are going to use the sum function. So the same process again. We make sure that you selected cell C10. And then you type the equal to sign, you type in sum, an opening bracket, and then you select all the scores under the English column. So you select it like this. Basically cell C4 to cell C9, then hit on enter. And it's going to compute the total score for English, which is one of the subjects. Now we need to do the same for math and ICT. So we can use autofill. This time we are not going to drag below, we are going to drag it to the right. So you select it, hover your mouse to the bottom right corner where the box is, then you click hold and drag to the right. And it's going to do the same thing. So now we can see that for math, the total score has been computed. The same thing for ICT. And that is it. So we are almost done with the question. Let's move on to 2C. It says what? Format the average student score to 2 decimal places. Okay, so it makes sense because you can see that some of our students' average score is more than 2 decimal places and some are just normal integers. So in order to do that, you want to select everything in the student average score. So you want to select it like this. If it is a lot, you can just click on cell, the G cell, the G column basically. You click on it like this, and then you go to make sure you're in the home tab. You come to the number section, and you see a default value of general. Now you should also see an arrow. Click it to see the drop down menu, and you want to select number. So general is the default, but this time I want to select number. When we do that, it's going to change everything. So basically, any number that we type in cell G is going to automatically format it to 2 decimal places. But in this question, all we needed to do was just select all this. We could just select this and that would be it. But in case like you have a lot of numbers where it is so many all the way scrolling down, then it would be easier to just select the G column and then you change the format. So that is just something to keep in mind. So this is how you solve question 2C. Now in question 2D, it says what? Insert your full name using the header tool. Okay, so to do that, there are actually many ways to do that. The easiest way is at the bottom of your workbook, you should see 3 icons that you can click. So you want to select, the first one is the normal view, which we are already in, but you want to select the second one, which is the page layout, and it's going to show us this. So you can see that we have add header. So you just click it and then you type in your full name. So you, of course, you type in your full name. Let me just type in something random. Let me say Walker Hope or something. Yeah. So this is just something random, but you would type in your full name and then that will be it. Okay, let me do it properly. Walker Hope. Then you click on any place on the workbook so that everything will be saved. Because if you click on the escape key, it's going to ignore everything. So after you've typed it, then make sure you just click on any blank space on your workbook. Then you're going to see like this. And that is it. So in order to return back to the default view, you come to the bottom, then you click on the normal, and it's going to take us back to the way it is. Let's go back to the page layout again, and we can still see this. So we know that the effects have been noticed. Okay, so now let's go back. And now let's solve the last part, which is 2E. Save the workbook as results with your index number in the folder created on the desktop. So in my previous video, when I solved the question 1, I created a folder. So that is the folder we are going to be using. So we are going to have to save it as results with our index number in that folder. How do we do that? We come to our workbook application, or basically our spreadsheet application, and then you go to file, you click on save as, then you click on browse. Now it's going to show this dialog box, and what you want to do is you want to locate the folder we created on our desktop. So you go to desktop, then you look for the folder. So this is the folder I created. Double click it. For the file name, the question wants us to be result with our index number, so make sure it is the same as the index number you typed. So I'm just going to do the same thing, and then so the results with the index number, then I click on save, and that is it. Now let's go back to our desktop and confirm that we've truly saved this workbook. So let's head back to our desktop, open it, open the folder, and you can see this is the folder we just saved, the workbook that we've just saved. So we know that everything has been done, the effects have been taken, and that is it. That is it. So I hope you guys were able to follow along. If you were, then please don't forget to support this channel by hitting the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and also don't forget to click the bell to get notified when I upload a new video. So thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next video.